Essays on Untouchables and Untouchability, Religious by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Chapter 3, Part 3, G. This intolerable insult on the one hand, this wretched compromise on the other, roused the fury of the people against the archbishop and against their own ecclesiastical chief. Hard was the task before him when the latter went forth to appease the excited multitude. They would have made one desperate effort to sweep the Portuguese intruders from their polluted shores, but the archdeacon pleaded with them for forbearance, apologized for his own weakness, urged that dissimulation would be more serviceable than revenge, promised, in spite of what he had done, to defend their religion, and exhorted them to be firm in their resistance of papal aggression. With a shout of assent, they swore that they would never bow their necks to the yoke and prepared themselves for the continuance of the struggle. But Menezes was a man of too many resources to be worsted in such a conflict. His energy and perseverance was irresistible. His craft was too deep to fathom. When one weapon of attack failed, he tried another. Fraud took the place of violence, money took the place of arms. He bribed those whom he could not bully to, and appealed to the imaginations of men when he could not work upon their fears. And little by little he succeeded. First one church fell and then another. Dangers and difficulties beset them. Often had he to encounter violent resistance, and often did he beat it down. When the strength of the Syrian Christians was too great for him, he called in the aid of the native princes. The unhappy archdeacon, weary of resistance and threatened with excommunication, at last made submission to the Roman prelate. Menezes issued a decree for the synod, and on the 20th June 1599, the churches assembled at Diamper. The first session passed quietly over, but not without much secret murmuring. The second, at which the decrees were read, was interrupted at that trying point of the ceremony where, having enunciated the confession of faith, the archbishop renounced and anathematized the patriarch of Babylon. The discontent of the Syrians here broke out openly. They protested against the necessity of a confession of faith and urged that such a confession would imply that they were not Christians before the assembling of the synod. But Menezes allayed their apprehensions and removed their doubts by publicly making the confession in the name of himself and the Eastern churches. One of the Syrian priests, who acted as interpreter, then read the confession in the Malabar language, and the assembled multitude repeated it after him, word for word, on their knees. And so the Syrian Christians bowed their necks to the yoke of Rome. Resolute to improve the advantages he had gained, Menezes did not suffer himself to subside into any inactivity and to bask in the sunshine of his past triumphs. Whether it was religious zeal or temporal ambition that moved him, he did not relax from his labors, but feeling that it was not enough to place the yoke upon the neck of the Syrian Christians, he endeavored by all means to keep it there. The churches yielded sullen submission, but there were quick witted, keen sighted men among them who, as the 17th century began to dawn upon the world, looked hopefully into the future, feeling assured that they could discern even then unmistakable evidences of the waning glories of the Portuguese in the East. There was hope then for the Syrian churches. The persecutions of Menezes were very grievous, for he separated priests from their wives, excommunicated on trifling grounds members of the churches, and destroyed all the old Syriac records which contained proofs of the early purity of their faith. The end.